Some time ago, someone asked me about why I am not a big fan of many-to-many relationships in Power BI. Now, this isn't always the case. However, in a lot of data models, I like to not have, or I prefer not having, many-to-many relationships between my dimension and my fact tables. So let's dive straight into it. On the left-hand side of the screen, there is the data. The upper table is a dimension table with employees, and the lower table is the fact table containing calls. Now, this is an aggregation fact table, so let's start with the fact table. We have 4 columns. We have a unique identifier column called call ID, and there is also a call date column, and next to it there is personnel ID. So it should be a unique identifier for each employee, and it is. However, it doesn't take team history into account, which we will get to in a second. And the last column is a column containing the amount of calls that specific employee handled that day. The table above is a table containing employee information. So we have the personnel IDs, the employee IDs. Once again, we have the name of the employee, David and Harry. And we also have some team history. For example, David was a part of Team A in January of 2020. However, after that, starting from the 1st of February in 2020, he was a part of Team B until the end of times. And Harry has always been, since the 1st of January of 2020, a part of Team A. Now, why would I not create a many-to-many relationship between these two tables? What is the problem? Let me show you, because they say a picture says more than 1,000 words. So, as you can see, we have our two tables here in the model view of Power BI. We have the employee dimension, and below that we have the calls fact table. Now let's try and create a relationship between these two tables based on the column employee ID or personnel ID. Now, Power BI is at this moment very disappointed with us, because he's telling us this relationship has a cardinality many-to-many. This should only be used blah blah blah. Now, we do not really care, and we simply press save. And now you see we have a many-to-many relationship, and that is because the personnel ID does not contain unique values in both tables. So just to reiterate, we have personnel ID of 1, which isn't unique in the employee dimension. As you can see, there are 2 records for a personnel ID 1, and in the fact table it's naturally not unique either. It should be unique in the employee dimension. However, this is not the case. And there are ways to fix that, but that is not what this video is about. In this video, we are just going to check what happens when we create a many-to-many relationship. So let me grab the column name from the personnel dimension. So basically this column right here. And now let me grab the amount of phone calls from the calls fact table. So this column right here. Now we can see that David has 40 calls, which adds up, right? Because David has personnel ID 1, and personnel ID 1 in the fact table has a total of 40 calls. Harry is not as active and he only has 5 calls. And this adds up to a total of 45 calls, which is correct, right? So far, so good. And this is, well, to be expected because we created a relationship on personnel ID. However, what happens when we also add team to the visualization? I can tell you what happens before I apply it. Because the link was made on personnel ID, Power BI will not know which team to pick when we zoom in on David, because David has been a part of Team A and Team B, and the relationship doesn't take into account which team he has been a part of. The relationship only takes into account which personnel ID is a part, or rather is used in a relationship. It doesn't take into account the team, it doesn't take into account the call date if it was between the ingangsdatum, or rather the start date of the team and the end date of the team. It doesn't take all these things into account. So in this table here, you will get 40 for both teams. You will basically get a doubling of records. So let's add team into this visualization. And voila, Power BI doesn't know which team these 40 calls are a part of. So you will simply get a duplication of records. And it also shows the wrong total. Well, not the wrong total, it's the right total, but well, you get my drift. So this is one of the reasons why I am in general not a big fan of many-to-many relationships between dimension and fact tables.